My name's Sam and welcome to the Woodwork Experience. Today I'm going to take you through the correct method for the selection and justification aspect of your folio. We're going to highlight key points that you must address and take you through what is an appropriate answer. If you are enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to make sure that this content keeps flowing your way. Now, the very first thing you're going to need to do is to open up your folio folder. Open up the template file. Move across to File, go down to Save As, and save it as 13, Selection and Justification of Resources. Select the title and change it to Selection and Justification of Resources. Type the following subheading, Selection of Materials for the Tabletop. Whoa! Don't get too carried away here, because what if your entire project is made up of the one timber? Well, that's when you can go through and just type in selected material for project. The one I'm discussing right now is going to be a desk. Select the minor heading that you've just made and change it to size 12 Calibri Bold, ensuring that it is centered. Now it's time to add a table. Whoa! Nope, it's not time to add a table. Can I get a round of applause? Why? Because I think this is the second time that we're not using tables. It's time to add some more headings, but this time they're going to be aligned to the left-hand side of your page. To do this, select the text and then move up to the Align Right button. They will still be size 12 Calibri Bold font. This is what the section should look like when it's done. Hang on, don't look at me, look at the screen. Personally, I like the bullet points under required attributes of the timber. However, it could be written in paragraph form. One is not more correct than the other. As you can see, we've got a lot of this information from previous documents. But there's so many documents! Which document am I meant to open? Don't stress. The very first document you're going to go through and open is your statement of intent. Then, you're going to go through and crack open that very important research of materials document. And they're going to look something like this. Now, under your statement of intent document, there's going to be a section where you actually wrote what specific characteristics you need your timber to have. For now, copy and paste it. Then we're going to move across to our research of materials document. And for that one, we're going to go down to the evaluation section, copy and paste it in. From there, the great thing you can do is start to summarize it. Put it in your own words, rewrite it, and fill in the sections below. A completed section should sound something like this. Required attributes of timber. Under that, I've got a blonde feature grade timber. Strong and appropriately dense. Should not be prone to excess seasonal movement or cupping. Should not be prone to burning or chipping. Needs to be under $300 for the tabletop. And should be able to be locally sourced. Under the heading, products still considered after research. At the end of my research, timbers which were still being considered included Tasmanian oak, blackbutt, American oak, and European birch. Now, of course, you could just list them, bam, but I think a sentence is sometimes a little bit nicer. Now, for the selection and justification section, it's not that complicated. You simply state which one you've chosen and why. The product I've selected for my tabletop is Tasmanian oak. The very first sentence is always going to be a statement that's exactly like that. Then it goes on to say, I've selected Tasmanian oak as it is affordable compared to American oak and European birch. It is less dense and not as prone to burning as seen in the testing section of this folio. It does chip out relatively easy. However, the use of tape when cutting almost eliminates this entirely. Additionally, the coarse texture of Tasmanian oak hides some of the blemishes. Unfortunately, I cannot afford feature grade timber, but as Tasmanian oak often suffers from these defects, I'm hoping that I can find pieces which have the characteristics I am after. Does that sound hard? I didn't think so. But let's get back into it because we have a lot more headings to fill out. In fact, everything you research needs to have a heading and needs to be completed. The very first thing we need to check out is timbers. You want to discuss which timbers are selected in your product. After that, you've got to talk about adhesives. Now, for adhesives, you need to break that down into categories. You can use one for the main gluing of your project. You might have epoxy listed because epoxy can be super handy when you're going through and fixing up any knots or small indents or defects that you need to hide. After that, we're going to have super glue. Why super glue? Well, super glue is super important because it's great for fixing up little issues that pop up. Say something chips out, whack some super glue on there, it's an instant fix. After that, we've got joinery techniques. Now, for this section, you really want to state 6 to 7 joints that you're going to use, more if possible. Because the more joinery you can smash into this, the more that you can get marks on later down the track when you're making your project. Always make sure that the joints are suitable, appropriate, and are achievable. There's no point putting in super hard joints if they're gonna look garbage. Following joinery, we are up to finishes. Now for finishes, you really need to go through and discuss which finish you're gonna use and why. It's pretty rare that people use more than one finish, but if you do, make sure to list 1, 2, 3, 4, and more, as many as you require. For hardware, don't forget to list drawer runners, hinges, and of course, knobs and handles. Then, we're talking about processes. Now, which process are you gonna use on your project? Well, there's gonna be a lot of them, because you're gonna have to cut, you're gonna have to sand, you're gonna have to do this, that, and everything else to make sure that your project is exactly the way it needs to be. So, don't forget to list them and be specific about which ones you're gonna use and where. Also, add a why. Always add a why. The markers wanna know that you critically analyze every step of this project. Technologies, we don't need to go into it, but break it down into its subheadings and explain. And you are almost done. But almost done is not completely done. So let's get back to completely done and get it sorted. To do this, we need to just conquer and define and really lock in your resources. So which resources are you going to use and why? A few you're definitely going to touch on include your teacher, because they're going to be a huge help to you over the next 12 months. We also have the woodwork experience, because if you're using this right here, right now, you need to list it. From there, go through and list any other resources that you may have used or plan to use in the future. They're going to be super helpful as you progress on your journey. The ongoing evaluation we have here is fairly different from the rest. Now, this one is broken up into 3 sections. The first section is just a basic statement on how you found the process. The second section, or the second paragraph, outlines a change that you've made that you haven't wanted to make. The third one outlines things that you are content with and happy with when looking at the overall selection of your products and processes. This is what one should sound like. The selection and justification process allowed me to understand how difficult it is to be intentional with product selection. Options which I once deemed most suitable were often not affordable, resulting in changes which I would not have approved at the beginning of the process. One such example includes the use of Luan ply. I initially wanted solid timber drawer bases, but due to potential movement issues, I had to select veneered plywood. Unfortunately, it was too expensive, and so therefore, I was left using Luan ply, which gives a similar aesthetic to the Tasmanian oak, but not identical. Overall, I'm happy with the selected products, and I'm thankful that I was able to select undermount soft close drawer slides to hide the hardware. I like that I can use Tasmanian oak for my tabletop and potentially still get feature grade timber at a lower price due to the proneness of naturally occurring defects in this species. I'm thankful that by checking pricing at various stores, I was able to source the Tasmanian blackwood for my legs, aprons, and drawers. Finally, I'm thankful that my research led me to discover water-based wipe-on polyurethane, which will create a non-yellowing clear satin protective layer on the top of my timber. That is another episode here at the Woodwork Experience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If there's anything that you have questions on or any suggestions that you think I can do, to improve this channel. See you in the next episode of the Woodwork Experience.